builders call banter with me at the beginning here. How's the week of Mr. Smith been?
It's been great.
Good.
Been awesome. Yeah, I've been loving going through your summit, man.
Good.
Unbelievable. Yeah, having a great week. How about you?
Same. Yeah, I literally just hung up the call with someone about just amazed at Summit and lots of great feedback. We're making changes on the fly, so lots of good stuff happening. I'm really excited about our call today. Casey, good to see you.
See you guys. How's
awesome.
It going?
It's going well.
Good. Are we live?
We are live.
I think say on the builders call we go live all the time.
That's right. We are live. Well, I'm glad you're joining. You got anything on your radar before I jump into our?
I just wanted to share, which we'll probably do this on the next call as well. That we are crushing it right now, all across the board, every category. The last 7 weeks in a row for this company, if you look back over the last 12 years, our top 3 record weeks we've ever had. If you just look at the last 7 weeks, every one of those weeks would have fit in the top 3, the previous top 3 weeks we've ever had as a company. Last week, or this week, was our second largest week ever. And it just seems like yesterday, it wasn't long ago, really. I was talking to Spivey right before this. He reminded me we were celebrating our first ever $3 million week, like year and a half, maybe. And now we're up just on the field division, just on all of us, we're up $500,000 to $600,000 a week from where we were just a few short months ago. And I still think we're just barely seeing what's coming. And if you look at everything as a whole, all of Quility, we're in that $5 million a week range as a company right now, all collectively. So I just wanted to say that keep going, keep pushing. I think the timing of today's calls with what you're talking about, just kind of digging into Summit a little bit more because everybody's super fired up about that. Brian, have got so much good feedback from what's going on since the virtual summit with specifically that rollout. And then, and then the next call, we'll kind of get into some of this too, but I think the next call being on the 90-day Madman is just key timing. Hopefully all of you leaders are thinking about that. If you're not in the middle of a sprint, you should be organizing the biggest, best 90-day sprint you've ever organized, because when we're looking at the last 7 weeks of production records that we're seeing right now, we got the big mo. We got wind in our sails. And as my favorite terminology sometimes is like lean in, because it means something to us. It means that, like when you see this much gold in the ground, it's time to grab a bigger bucket and a bigger shovel. So just wanted to jump on quick before you take it off, B-Dub, and say congrats to everyone. Keep it up.
Absolutely. There's a new normal. Spivey in a meeting the other day said we got a new baseline. A new baseline that we're operating from, which
I'm getting blown. I mean, every day I'm getting a text from agency owners saying broke a record this month, broke a record this week. So we are firing on all cylinders. It's exciting.
Yeah.
Keep it up.
Love it. Well, I got a lot to cover. Unless Spivey, you got anything you want to talk about, or I'm going to grab the wheel.
Man, I'm going to give it to you, Brian. Just besides what Casey's saying, as far as the number of reports we're getting for record-breaking weeks, Brian, I just want to show you some love and appreciation. But the amount of positive feedback from Summit, from the virtual meeting we had just a couple of weeks ago, has been overwhelming. And the tools that are already in place, the success stories coming from that, the way you're really trying to centralize and really bring us a central unit that really puts us all in the same function, where we're all rowing at the same time, skipping to the same beat, if you will, has been amazing, B-Dub. So much appreciation to you, and I know the larger team at hand that helped you in that, buddy.
Yes, absolute team effort. Special shout out. I know she's not on the call. Sarah Safapur was an absolute all-star world-class summit builder. She was in all the details of getting everything up and going and developing content, and she deserves a Quigley. So we'll surprise her one day. Maybe I'll send her a real one. That'd be fun, right? Here's your new porcupine to take care of. But yeah, she's done great.
I don't think Ben would appreciate that, but
Probably not. All right. Well, let me frame our time. I'm on. I asked Brad Smith to be on today to spend some time with me talking about the value of learning and development, and specifically Summit. And I want to start with a question. And the question that I want to start with is, how good of a builder do you want to be? How good of a builder do you want to be? And I think for that question to become actualized and for that question to become real, you have to ask yourself a personal question. Do I want to be as good as me, or do I want to be as good as we? Because if you're becoming the best agency builder that you can be and the most effective builder that you can be, all roads lead back to you as the source of knowledge and wisdom and insight and the best trainer. I'm just going to tell you that your ceiling is going to be here. You're limiting yourself. If you answer the question, do I want to be as good as me, or do I want to be as good as we? There's a difference in the ceiling of that being here, which is your individual capacity, or having literally no ceiling, because collectively we are centralizing the best expertise when it comes to industry skills, the best expertise on leadership skills, including things like well-being and all the kind of things that you'd need there, and the best expertise even on sales skills, which is across the board from our Quality People Insights research. Probably still one of the lowest areas that we need to work on is just basic sales confidence, especially for a lot of you that are newer to the organization, or a lot of the new agents. I know this is the builders call. We might have some new folks slipping in. When you start something new, you don't often start at a confidence level of a 10, right? So we need to continue to get the expertise from this organization to a place where everyone can get there. And just to start out, I'm getting some brownie points with my boss because I'm reading a book right now by a guy named Nick Saban called How Good Do You Want to Be? And yes, you should read this book. And what I love about this book, I'm just going to read a couple parts of it actually. He starts out in the first part talking about the making of champions in the 2003 season when they won the championship. And just capture this. He says this: becoming a champion is not an easy process, and the 2003 season is a great example of how it's done. By focusing on what it takes to get there and not on getting there, our LSU team was able to win the BCS national title. So he said, by focusing on what it takes to get there and not on getting there, focusing on the process, right? And he said, most people think that the Louisiana State University football team won the national championship on the night of January 4th, 2004 at the Nokia Sugar Bowl in New Orleans. He says, but I tend to disagree. I think we actually won the national title almost 400 days earlier in Little Rock, Arkansas. Shout out to Arkansas today. He goes on to describe how they were just in a good position. If they could get past Arkansas with 40 seconds left in the game, they were up 20-14. And if they could just simply stop Arkansas's full field drive, they would be winning the championship. Well, sure enough, or going on to the win the SEC West. Well, what happened was they didn't stop them, right? And so he says this: after the crushing loss to Arkansas, we all rededicated ourselves to the little things. Never again would we be outworked any day of the year. And that's when he said they won the championship. Leadership is often about the little things. Leadership is focusing on the little incremental things that get you there, right, in the end. So what I want to do today is I want to challenge you to reset your bar of how good do you want to be of an agency builder. Every single person on this call has the ability to be the best agency builder in the world if you trust we instead of me. So what I want to do is really jump into a high-level overview of Summit, the product that we launched last week at the virtual summit. not to be confused with the insurance product summit that got rolled out. We got a trifecta of summits, but I want to just give a high level overview. Then Brad, I'm going to talk to you for a few minutes just about how you think about development in your agency. And then I'm going to get into some nuts and bolts about summit. So let me jump in here. I'm going to share my screen. And many of you have been on. We've already had a couple hundred people complete the first skill block that's a part of the summit system, which has been awesome to see. But let me just walk through some basics for some reason, in case you didn't catch it at the virtual summit, and then also give you a chance to just to hear some of my thoughts about how to best leverage this for activation, since that's the phase that we launched. So why Summit, right? Summit exists to accelerate your business results by providing you what you need to learn when you need to learn it. Our whole learning and development strategy that we've been working really hard on behind the scenes, which involves not only Summit, but Quility U courses. It involves coaching. All of that is trying to get things down to little micro learning habits, little step-by-step things that make sure that we're not doing a scatter plot of training, but we're giving you what you need to learn when you need to learn it. So Summit is actually considered a learning pathway or a just-in-time learning pathway. And so this is where it lives in HQ. You've got your little mountain icon up here that goes literally step by step on everything that you need, from becoming a brand new agent all the way through that team leader promotion. For clarity, Summit, the activate phase that we've rolled out, the one that is live right now, is taking care of that brand new agent through the team leader phase. We're going to be launching the second phase and the third phase pretty quickly here. So we're going to be launching phase 2 probably around late April, early May, and then the third phase just on the heels of that. And I say that with an effort to to under promise and over deliver. They're coming quick because we've already done tons of work with work groups to architect this journey from the bottom up already. So it's not just waiting to be developed. It's actually been developed, a good part of it, and we get to sort of just finalize it and get it launched. So pretty soon we'll have that team leader through the agency owner journey ready, and the agency owner through the regional agency director journey. So there's 4 phases. We've just launched the first phase over here called Activate. And based on the feedback, we're super encouraged about what we're seeing. Every resource that you need, let me just pop up on the new agent checklist step, done by our amazing new advisory board member, Andrew Jimenez. I actually got an email yesterday about, hey, the new agent checklist used to live over here in training. What happened to it? So we did relocate it. We made the decision to relocate that into the Summit journey, just because we want to continue to get as streamlined and focused with all of our resources as possible. And so what you'll see in every step, there's a video that's anywhere from a 5 to 7 minute video, sometimes a little bit more. There's objectives, there's a little resource guide. And then at the bottom, every resource that's mentioned with that step exists right there, because we don't want to send people on a wild goose chase without a goose, right? We want to make sure everything you need is right there, just in time learning, no longer wandering and getting lost, here and there and everywhere. But this system is literally doing everything you need. And I'm going to say something very provocative. And I'll show you why when I connect it to the LMS course after we hear from Brad. I truly believe that you can fire yourself from training and start to play a much different role in this organization. I believe that through the technology, the content, the functionality, everything that's there, we've literally, and I say we, meaning all the leaders of this organization, right? Work groups that we've worked on with Jacob and Edward and all sorts of different people, right? Downstream, to really make sure that we have everything that's needed there. So talk about freeing time, talk about making sure that you get to bring your best as a coach, as not just the sage from the stage telling people what to do. You don't have to do that anymore. You just get to be the guide by the side, or the Sherpa helping them get there. So Brad, I'm going to kick it over to you just to talk about for a minute. I loved when you and I were talking about how you just see the role of the new agent and the role of the mentor. If we're thinking about leveraging Summit for activation, how do you tend to think about those roles, and what are you excited about with Summit? Would love to hear from you.
Yeah, definitely. I'm so excited about Summit and everything that is being rolled out. But one of the things I think we all need to think about is, do we want to have an agency when it comes to duplication, right? And growing an agency and building it? Do we want one that grows fast, or do we want one that grows slowly? And it's funny that everybody answers that question the same. I want it to grow fast. But their activity, the way that they run their business, isn't in a way that would grow fast. It wouldn't scale quickly. And here's an example of that. If you are the one that your agents are relying on for training, it might make you feel important but, and significant, but I don't want to be significant in my team. I want to be insignificant. I want to be able to sit back and look at my agency on a bird's eye view and have it grow with or without me, with or without my involvement. You have to have tools in place for that. And you got to ask yourself the right questions. Like, I used to come to this business and the questions I would ask myself were so amateur. And then I started listening to like Casey and Brandon and Brian Pope, and the questions they were asking about their business were so much higher level. And because they were thinking about duplication and scalability. So one of the things that, like, the way I look at my role when I recruit somebody is, if you think about a race car, the new agent, their responsibility is to push that gas pedal down as hard as they can. My job is to steer the wheel. If I've run that track 1,000 times, I know that track. Don't rely on you don't have to learn everything. You just learn how to put that pedal to the metal. I'll do the rest and teach you along the way. And it's not me, it's the system will teach you along the way. So having a thing like a system like Summit, I don't have to be the trainer. I can be a traffic cop. So here's what I would encourage every single person on this call to do. I would encourage you to go through Summit, not so that you can repeat the information, but so you can direct people to it. Like, I think about, I got a text recently, and we've had this guy on a couple of our calls, but Casey, I know that you've gotten a text from Nate Offer with a new recruit a month into the business. This guy, Josh Wiles, this guy wrote $50,000 in his first 15 days. In his first 31 days, he wrote $101,000. And here's what's interesting about that. Nate recently spoke on this. He was asked, did an interview, and they asked him how he did it. And he kind of thought back, and he's got very specific things that he does, but he actually went to Josh and asked him, what was the most impactful thing that I did in that process? Did I have any role to play? He said, oh, you had a huge role to play. Well, I didn't train you on anything. He said, we had him on our call, and he said, Josh, how did you learn the information? He said, I watched the videos. Nate pointed me in the right direction. He was a traffic cop, told me exactly where to go, where I could get the information. And I did that. But he said, the biggest thing that you did is you gave me confidence and belief in myself and in the system when I didn't have it. And he said, you cast a vision for me of what was possible, and your confidence spilled over into me. Like, I borrowed that confidence. He said, I never would have dreamed that I could do 101,000 in 31 days if you hadn't said 100% you can do it, and I'm going to help you do it. That's the role of the mentor. It's not to teach them how to do it. It's that relationship. It's that confidence. It's like, hey, let's lock arms. Let's do it together. And that becomes part of the culture, and that becomes that scales. Because here's one last thing I want to say, Brian, about this. If I want a team that grows and duplicates fast, how fast is it going to do? If I ask you, Brian, you're a new agent, and I say, okay, Brian, you're brand new. I want you to put me on the phone with your top 10 warm market potential agents, top 10, like your best. If you say, well, I want to learn everything first, like that's a logical response. Want to learn everything first. Well, if that duplicates, and let's say it takes you 6 months to learn everything, and then you recruit your first agent and they say the same thing, I want to learn everything first. And you have to believe them and buy it because you bought it from yourself. You can't say that, well, I didn't do it.
Actually, what you can say, which I'll pull up in a minute, is, hey man, as a part of our summit, we've got about a 20-minute short burst course called Recruiting 101 that Roddy Jessup did. So before you, if you want to learn about recruiting, go watch Recruiting 101, and then we'll set up a call with your top 10 warm market. See, we didn't have that prior to, right? We have people pointing people to like disparate directions, and then quite honestly, some people just didn't really know where to point people. So now, again, that problem in one fell swoop was solved. But yeah, good. Brad, finish up. And I know, Casey, you look like you're chomping at the bit to jump in, which would be great.
Yeah. So you want to make sure that whatever you're doing is what you want to duplicate, because what you are doing is what will duplicate, whether you want it to or not. What you do is what will duplicate. So if you take forever to learn everything before you recruit, and they do it and they do it, and it's gonna, your agency will always have that culture. Where I said in the beginning, Matt and I, we said, whatever we want to be able to do whatever we want our team to do, our future team. And so we didn't wait until we were ready. We just directed people. Back then it was, Casey Watkins on a 30-minute audio of selling mortgage protection at home and one script. We would just point people to the training, because here's what happens. That new recruit, Brian, if you're the new recruit and you think back on what it took for me to get you onboarded and going, and you say, wow, all he did is point me to a video. Now you're thinking, okay, I can do that. But even if I have all the information and I sit down for hours and I train you on everything, even though I have that ability, you're thinking, well, I can't do that yet, so I can't recruit. So you want to lean into these videos, make sure that you know where that information is, so that when people call you and they say, hey, what do I say when somebody says this? How do I handle this objection? You got to resist the urge to answer them, because it's natural. You want to show off your experience, and you're perfectly capable of doing it, but that's going to duplicate, and you're going to have diluted information the further down it goes. If you're the source, it's going to continue to dilute, where if you can point people to the source, they always get 100% of the right information.
And yeah, even on that one, and then Casey, you can jump in. So I'm just thinking, like in Sales 101, which I'll show you in a minute, which is connected to Summit, Mike Resma does a whole thing on overcoming objections. What's the content of that skill block? It's just, these are short burst skill blocks. We're not talking like master's degree level stuff at this 101 level. Well, he's going to give you every stinking thing that you need as a new agent to know. You don't need to know anything else. Learning is only 10% of the equation. 70% of learning comes from getting your hands dirty, putting in the activity. 20% comes from the coach or guide being the guide by the side, and 10% comes from things like Summit and courses and things like that. We believe that passionately, and we're by providing that vital 10% from the best of the best in the company, the best insights, it just levels the ground. So it's not about me, it's about we. Casey, any thoughts before I?
Man, y'all are just killing. I love this call. And I just, so much of what you guys are talking about, Brad, what you just mentioned too about Nate, and about our role as a leader. Man, that's big stuff. And the beauty of Summit is it's all going, leadership is influence, right? And so you ever been frustrated at an agent? You feel like, I've told this agent this 1,000 times, and then your leader kind of drops down in depth and says the same thing you've been saying for years, and they go, oh, that's the key. Well, that's influence. And some of that has to do with the amount of influence your manager or someone up higher in the company might carry. And some of that influence is just created by a little bit of scarcity, meaning they don't hear from Brad all the time. So his words carry more weight. When they do hear from a guy like Brad, it's on the motivational, inspirational, confidence inspiring type of thing, which is what you're saying. That's our zone as leaders, not to one-on-one hold hands people how to answer objections. It's about elevating yourself to a position where you let the tools do the work. And then the only thing that the tools can't do, which is to inspire, what they can inspire confidence, but you as a leader can inspire confidence, motivate, inspire, that kind of things. let yourself get in that zone where most of what you're doing is that kind of category. And I just love what you're saying there. Now we have a tool that actually allows us to elevate ourselves, you know?
And by the way, yes, and yes to what you said about the motivation. And we even put that in there. Marlon Faulkner's optimized video. Like, I want you to know the thinking that went into this, just so y'all can appreciate the trust of firing yourself from this business if you're in it, is that like the agents work groups that were working on this, they said, hey, at this point, they're going to need some inspiration and motivation. So we created a step called optimize, and we've got one of our best communicators in there challenging you at a heart level to optimize. So again, let me just share a couple things. I'm watching our clock that I want to get out just so y'all can continue to leverage this. So, all right. So this activate phase, you've got all of these steps. Now you're going to see things like that. There's just normal steps that you go through. There's a challenge step, which we'll put in each of the phases specific challenge. This one's a founder's challenge called Slingshot, which we know is continuing at least right now. So that explains Slingshot. You know, we set it up and all that. Then you have mentor checkpoints. Now, as you know, you're receiving right now, mostly agency owners are receiving text messages that your agent has started the summit or that they're in a particular step. And by the way, we've been doing real-time changes in feedback. So when we found out there was an error with duplicate messages, boom, we changed it within an hour. We got information about, another step that was a little bit, hey, I got this text here. We're working on real-time rapid changes to this, but you're getting automated text messages and alerts about where your agent is at. When it comes to those mentor checkpoints, you're even getting agendas on what to do. So you don't have to worry about what to do. And you don't even have to be thinking about where those agents are at, because they'll come ready with an agenda of what they're supposed to do. So you'll see those challenges, mentor checkpoints, and then there's milestones. Here you're seeing, I'll use this one, like first override, for example. Well, I go back there. The first milestone is 6 applications, right? We'll start there. So if an agent gets to step 14 and they have not yet written 6 applications, the system will not allow them to go on, right? This is sort of a gamification functionality, right? We've integrated it with the HQ data so that like they can't learn anything else. They can't move on until they've written 6 applications, which is really cool, because some of you have already said like, gosh, I don't want to send people through Fast Track, which by the way, Fast Track is a prerequisite, if you will, to the summit journey. We intentionally built in some overlap based on adult learning theory so that it builds confidence in the new agent that they're like, wait a minute, I know that. We come at it from a different angle, but we did it on purpose. We did it on purpose so the agent gets familiarity. It's one of the key principles in adult learning. So it's not, if you see a little bit of overlap, it's only going to be in this phase that you do that, but it was not an accident. We actually did it on purpose. So all to say, your agent's not going to just keep going on and going ahead. They can't move ahead until that's happened. So the integration of data is there. They're going to get to a step called essential skills, which is step 9. And what I want to show you about that is that's where we instruct them in the video to go over to our learning management system, or LMS, right? That's kind of what most of you would know as Quality U. This Quality U is a learning management system over here when we think about this. So they get to that step and they're going to be instructed to go through a skill block. Now, these are more like your typical college. We built it like a college level curriculum, if you will. So if you're in the activate phase, once you get to that step, we're going to say, okay, in the next few days, we want you to prioritize your personal development around these skill blocks. And again, this is all education, research-based stuff. So in skill block 1, they're learning sales 101, metrics 101, brand standards 100 level. And so if I click on sales 101, some of you have been through this already. I find out, oops, it's broke. It's probably my slow speed internet over here. All right. Well, nevertheless, when you click on these, you can go in and mess with it yourself. You're going to see all of there's like 5 or 6 skills per section. And I won't demo that now, but you're going to see some things that they're going to need to learn. And that's where we're providing them in more detail the skills they need to learn when they need to learn it. So again, everything's there. And I want to answer one question live, which someone asked about, hey, could we have like a map of what's in here? We actually anticipated that. I've got to do a couple. I just got it in today from marketing, and I've got to do a couple edits to it. But what we did was we put together a trail map for the activate phase. This one happens to be 4 pages. So you don't have to go through the whole thing to know what's where. Every step, all the skill blocks and everything is on the trail map. So I would predict that this will be available for you within 24 to 48 hours. And so keep the feedback coming. I am literally beside myself, excited about the impact this is going to have at moving the needle for agent activation and for agency development and leadership development all the way to the top of the company. And yeah, super, super, super pumped. So final thoughts, Brad, as you think about you did an amazing job. I called you this morning on your defining the bullseye video, by the way.
It wasn't much. You did all the work. I just appreciate everything that you've done. And I said, get to know what's in there, and you've got that map. I didn't know you had the map. I'm excited to get that.
Yeah,
So
really cool.
We're at a place that, it doesn't surprise me, Casey, that the last 7 weeks have all been what would have been the top 3 weeks in the company's history.
Yep.
Just because of, there's just things that you guys are doing. I know we're coming up past the hour here, but just real quick, with what you guys have done with leads, with what we've done with making that shift to virtual, adding in clean, clear training and direction. It's just going to continue to pour fuel on the fire. And if you're new to Symmetry, you could not have come at a better time. So excited.
Good
Thanks
stuff.
for having me on, Brian.
Yeah. Thanks, Brad. And thanks, B-Dub.
You bet.
Got our in-house PhD leadership development officer. Just killing it. Not only do you have so much awesome. Yeah, there you go.
Being mentored by the
Good
man.
Man, so it's people look at our, especially now the big investments we're making in technology, the stuff we've already rolled out in HQ, and how there's just so much different than anything else out there in our industry, where because of the technology, because of the products, the tools, the in-house lead, generation. But I truly believe that our secret weapon is our leadership and our culture. And to now have something like Summit to be really the kind of franchise model is just going to allow us to scale so much faster, because we can start onboarding people. All of you leaders out there can start onboarding people so much more like a franchisee would. Mm-hmm. That's on you, B-Dub. Thank you for that, man.
So grateful. And yeah, Brandon, dude, this is killer. I have no idea. Maybe you've said it before. I'm just in the midst of it now, but man, this is one of those. This needs to find its way into the Summit, and it will. Because we do. By the way, we do book recommendations in Summit. So, for example, when I said you can fire yourself, I literally mean we get to a point where, all right, now you read Go for No. That's why I pulled the agency managers on the Symmetry Agency Manager page for those early stage books, right? We literally have put what are the things that everyone needs to experience, right? And this is going to be on my list of one of them. So good. Awesome. Kudos.
What I'm hearing.
It's really good. Yeah.
No, it is really good.
Awesome.
All right. Great stuff so far, guys. Got a good one coming
Appreciate
up.
that, B-Dubs.
Yeah, man.
Brandon, let's kick it off the video, buddy.